So that covers the common debts and what we can do to decrease debts. So let's switch it and see what we can do to help Caleb increase his income. That sounds kind of easy, or maybe easier said than done. Number one, you can ask for a raise, and you'd be surprised. A lot of employers, if they like an employee, they'll bend over, not completely backwards, but they'll be reasonable to help you with your goals.
It's amazing. I've seen employers do that for people, and you can ask, and they'll say no. You didn't lose anything, but they might say yes. You just don't know.
Yeah. Another thing you could do, if that is not an option for you, is you could apply and get a similar job that is higher paying elsewhere. We don't want to offend employers and or anything, but there's options to get an increase in income when it comes to getting a raise or just getting a different job with a different employer. Number 3 and number 4 are a little interesting that you might not have thought of, is adding a non-occupying co-signer. Dad, do you mind? This got a father and son on here. You mind kind of sharing?
Yeah, that's I can relate to that. So one thing that you need to be aware of as let your parent or grandparent or uncle, if they're saying, yeah, we'll co-sign, they need to be aware that it's a commitment, because they're sharing the liability. They're not only sharing it, if you don't, as a borrower, make the payment, they're going to come knock on the door of your dad, your mom, your grandparent, your uncle, whoever it is. They're liable for that loan as long as they're on that loan. So it's a big obligation.
Yeah. And again, their credit and their debt to income ratio is also going to be used. So hopefully their credit's in a good situation. It's not just if they have money, it's if they're responsible with their money and if they're not being stretched too thin, if they can help.
So some parents don't have a problem with this at all. I've seen it and it works. It's a great way to go, but they need to be aware of the liability. The other part about this is I've had parents call me up and say, well, I don't know that I want to co-sign, but what else can I do? And so then we'll go into well, maybe you could pay off a debt for your son or your daughter.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. The last thing I would say is, if you have a parent or a resource a non-occupying person that wants to be a co-signer with you, but they don't want to be on the loan forever, we can refinance the loan and get them off when you're ready. When over time, typically people make more money over time. They get raises or more skills and education, what have you. You can qualify by yourself. And so you can refinance the loan without that co-signer anymore. So they kind of help you get into the home, and then we can get them off the loan later on. It's not permanent unless they're on the loan and you haven't refinanced.
And you can't get them off, right?
Yeah. That being said, another thing we can do when people apply for a loan, especially when you have like a husband-wife couple or 2 partners come together, sometimes it's better not to include one of the partners in the relationship. Sometimes people, for whatever reason, either have poor credit or high debt or low income. It's probably because they didn't watch our series of videos to learn how to avoid these things. But sometimes one spouse can qualify or one partner can qualify on their own without the other spouse. In that situation, we can simply just remove the spouse that's holding back the transaction. That being said, that spouse can still be added to title, so they'll have ownership in the home.
Right.
They just won't be liable for the payments.
Now, this strategy works for a conventional loan. We're in a community property state. If you're in a non-community property state, it also works for FHA. So there's a few caveats to that, but we can help you out if you have any questions.
Yeah. So increase income. One thing that you can do is get a side hustle. And you might be thinking, I thought you said you can't use side hustle income. You got to have a 2-year history.
That's right.
That's right. A lot of people, especially during 2020 with COVID, people were at home making masks, and we might have, someone say, hey, I've got the side hustle income. I made $10,000. Let's include that. Well, it can't be used as income, but it could be used to pay other debts. So if you went ahead and already bought a car and you have a couple thousand left on that, you could get a side hustle to pay off your car loan and then remove that debt altogether from your, so it'd still improve your ratio.
Pay down a credit card, pay down other debt.
Yeah.